All right. I am sharing my screen now. So, good evening, everybody. My name is Chris Price. I am the host of the Wealth Mindset and Real Estate Investing Meetup. I'm also the CEO and co-founder of Red Fox Multifamily. And tonight we are in for another treat on our awesome meetup here, where we have an awesome speaker that is going to really provide a lot of value to those who are here live and those who will be watching the recording on our YouTube channel. And that awesome speaker is Bhaskar Pandey, and I'll go into his bio here in a moment. But Bhaskar is going to talk to us about how to build a Rockstar virtual team, hire, onboard, train, and retain. And so if you think about it from our perspective as real estate investors, as folks who are building businesses, well, you're a business owner, maybe you are someone who is a homemaker, but you don't have enough arms and hands to be able to get things done. You can think of so many different applications around how this could fit within your life. And we're going to learn a little bit more about this here in a moment, how we could tap into resources to really help us be more efficient and effective. So before we go into that, just a couple of brief commercial breaks here. Tell you a little bit about us. And so the Wealth Mindset and Real Estate Investing Meetup is open to all who are interested in growing generational wealth through passive real estate investing and increasing their financial intelligence. This meetup is for the busy professionals and retirees across various industries. The individuals in the group make a good living and they have discretionary income to invest in real estate for its proven wealth building power, but they don't have the time, skill set, or network to do it at speed and at scale. This meetup focuses on helping us all grow our wealth mindset by learning how to build and preserve wealth while developing and maintaining an abundance mindset. This meetup will focus on multifamily real estate investing as well as other proven ways to build wealth through real estate through passive investments. And this meetup is sponsored by Red Fox Multifamily. And Red Fox Multifamily helps pharmaceutical and life science industry professionals diversify their portfolios and add passive income and get all the other perks of real estate investing without having to do any of the work themselves. We partner with passive investors to buy commercial multifamily real estate based on vetted opportunities we get access to from our trusted network of top operators in the best markets throughout the country. Partnering with us makes investing in real estate completely hands-off, allowing investors to add passive income and build equity and save on taxes, all while being in an investment vehicle that's backed by a hard asset. So thank you guys for that brief moment. Just a couple of quick logistics here before we jump right in. Please keep your lines muted when you're not speaking. Unless the speaker asks for questions throughout the presentations, please hold your questions to the end. But if you have something burning like me, sometimes I just can't sit on it. I gotta raise my hand or call out. Please go ahead and do so. Please know that this presentation will be recorded. As I mentioned earlier, this material does not constitute an offer or solicitation to purchase securities, and this is information only and should not be construed as business, financial, or legal advice. And for those of you who want to keep connected with me, here's a great way for you to get in contact with me. You can either scan that QR code or you can email me at chris@redfoxmultifamily.com if you want to talk about real estate or just get to know one another. We have a huge network now on our meetup, over 1,000 members that are now on our meetup. And I haven't met everyone, but I'd like to meet you. So please reach out to me and let's keep in touch and learn how we can add value to each other. And then finally, in terms of the agenda today, I'm going to do a brief intro of our speaker tonight. And then our speaker will go into their presentation. We'll have a little Q&A and then do some virtual networking at the end. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Bhaskar Pandey. So before I get into the spiel here, I'll let you know that Bhaskar actually was, I got connected with him through a mutual contact and friend, Josh Thomas. Hold on one second. and Josh actually he actually introduced us and was like, hey, I have a great speaker. I'm not going to be able to be on your meetup, but I have a great speaker. Would love for him to be connected with you. And so we got connected. We were able to speak and just learn about each other. And once he shared his topic, I thought, man, this is such a great opportunity for us to add value to the folks that are a part of this meetup. Not only do we have passive investors on this meetup, who some of these passive investors are busy business owners. They're busy pharmaceutical professionals like me, and who have a lot going on, and maybe they too need some assistance to help them out with managing their busy lives. And then, but we also have a tremendous amount of active real estate investors. People that are building businesses and running properties, and when they also have a lot of need for having access to some virtual assistants that can really help them scale and grow their business, and to pass important tasks to other resources that can get those things done, so that they can then transition their time and focus their time, energy, and effort on more important tasks that can help them grow and scale the business. And that's the type of mindset that we need to be having as real estate investors, as syndicators especially. So Bhaskar, with a background in engineering and systems, he founded Property Revival Specialist with an aim of using his technical and analytical skills to profitability, investing in real estate. Bhaskar, he's a network security engineer turned real estate investor out of Houston, Texas. Now investing in land full time and co-managing WeFindTalent, a virtual staffing and talent sourcing company. He started in real estate by way of buying on market turnkey rental properties, and found himself tired of being a landlord. So turned towards land flipping in 2021. He has also co-founded School of Sharks, a free community aimed at helping real estate investors learn, grow, and work together. So without further ado, Bhaskar Pandey, everyone, let me pass it to you, Bhaskar, so that you can give your presentation and share with the team.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for having me today. I appreciate the time and the opportunity to share my expertise and my knowledge. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. And if you would let me know when you can see it.
You can see it.
Excellent. So I want to start, before I dive into the presentation, I wanted to quickly introduce myself. Like Chris mentioned, I come from a corporate world, come from a W-2 world, and having been on that side of the fence, things were very different when I decided to jump into the entrepreneurial side of things. Tired of being a landlord, started looking at land flipping, and I found that land flipping was a very fun place to be. You could quickly double your money on deals, and it was really easy to do. As a systems engineer or an engineer in a prior career, it was easy for me to fairly build systems and analyze deals and sell them. But I found myself working extra hours, more so than I was when I was in a W-2 position. I found myself building countless controls, documents, contracts, analyzing properties, trying to list properties, trying to sell properties, all by myself. And it quickly became a burden. And I wasn't prepared to run and lead a team. So throughout the last couple of years, I've been through this process of trial and error, educating myself, going through various channels of hiring, training, and then firing, and then finally coming to a model that has allowed me to work in my business uh, very efficiently, sometimes be able to break away to run errands, spend time with family, travel, at the same time making sure my business is still operating and being efficiently managed. So I did that with the use of a combination of virtual assistants and some in-office employees. Now, I have since last year scaled more towards virtual assistants, and for reasons that you will find out here, let go of the onshore staff. So this presentation is geared towards how you can build your own Rockstar virtual team and hire, onboard, train, and most importantly, retain the best virtual assistants. I wanted to start this presentation by this quote by Graham Weston. Graham Weston is the founder of well, many businesses, but Rackspace, where would happen to be one of the places I worked at. There was a quote written and plastered all over the buildings, and the quote was very, very inspirational. It said, "What we all want is to be a valued member of a winning team on an inspiring mission." If you've worked in W-2 jobs, if you've worked in a corporate environment, I'm sure you've seen great places to work and you've seen some not so great places to work. And in my experience, what made those places great places to work was the team, the culture, the processes, the access to training, access to resources, and the general environment that was created for us as an employee. So I've applied the same philosophy towards hiring and building a virtual team for my own business. Somebody told me early on when I was starting out to not think of myself as a solo entrepreneur, not to think of myself as a mom and pop operation, but to think of my business as a $20 million a year operation. Even though I was operating by myself or perhaps getting ready to hire some VAs, I wanted to build this company to where it could someday be and operate like a $20 million organization. With that, I set out to hire some Rockstar people on my team. And I wanted to bring on Rockstar people to have that type of productivity and output. You have to have the right type of structure, infrastructure, controls, documentation in place. So before you are ready to bring on a VA, and if you're not familiar with a virtual assistant is a VA is essentially an employee that you can bring on for a fraction of the cost of an onshore US-based counterpart that can bring a set of specialized skills to your company. If you are in multifamily, for instance, or if you're in single family and you're working on things like generating leads, or you're working on things like keeping your accounting accurate, or you're working on things like having your books always up to date, or just having training material being created, you can now lean on virtual assistants that are just as skilled, that are just as qualified, just as educated as any onshore, in-office, or remote employee. So some VAs are now considered the key to scaling a startup because they allow you to minimize your overhead and risk, because you don't have to pay them thousands of dollars a month where you would pay to an equivalent engineer or employee onshore. You don't have to have an office location for them to work from, so you're saving on office and infrastructure costs. And you can find some very highly talented people. You'd be amazed that you can find architects, engineers, medical assistants, medical transcriptionists, legal analysts, all in a VA format. And needless to say, cost is one of the #1 driving factors as to why we do this, why we hire a virtual assistant instead of a in-office employee. So before we hire a high-performing VA, we want to know what constitutes a high-performing team. Your organization will be the most successful and most efficient if you create a high-performing team. And I put together these components of a high-performing team, which have helped us operate with these principles and be very efficient, very productive. We emphasize effective communication. So a high-performing team, you have to keep in mind, has to have effective communication channels, being able to easily reach out to your peers, your managers. You also have to have your team members be dependable and highly available. Now, if you were staffing an in-office team, you would likely be easily able to be talked to them just by walking up to their desks. You know when someone is in the office, you know when someone's taking a break. For a high-performing virtual team, we have to emulate the same type of of availability and communication, although via virtual channels. So high dependability, meaning you know your VAs are going to show up when they're supposed to show up. High availability, meaning they're going to be available throughout their shifts and also be immune to issues like power outages, internet outages, because they're working from home and they're working from usually locations that could be prone to weather episodes, calamities, etc. You also want to ensure that you're bringing on a happy, energetic performer, someone with a great attitude. And you have to ensure that the person that you're bringing onto your team clearly understands their roles and objectives. And you, as an operator, as a manager, have created roles that have minimal overlap and given them enough direction so they understand the targeted nature of what they're doing. And at the end of the day, the objective is efficient output and high task completion rates. So you have targets set, you're tracking KPIs, and you're able to measure the results of your high performing virtual team. Now, a well-trained and finely tuned virtual team can replace an in-person team at a fraction of the cost while providing this similar or better output and productivity. And I have found that to be 100% true. I have in-person, in-office employees, and I have a larger number of virtual assistants working on my business. And I can very confidently say when trained correctly, when hired with caution, when onboarded correctly, when motivated and retained, your VAs can outperform your in-office, more expensive counterparts. So what makes a high-performing VA? Who do you consider a rock star? Well, we're looking for someone with a very specialized skill set. If you're looking for multifamily leads, so let's say you're looking for apartment complexes or duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, and sellers that are motivated, you need to be generating those leads. You need to have someone that understands how to perform that outreach, how to prospect, how to negotiate, how to price these properties. So that's a specialized skill set. So you're looking for someone that has a real estate background, specifically in a niche area of multifamily. For me, I have been looking and employing people that have some background in single family, some background in land, and with my own curated training curriculum, I get them to understand and become subject matter experts on finding motivated land sellers. You also want to ensure that your VAs have a clear understanding of their responsibilities. So when you're hiring somebody, before you hire them, you have to you're responsible for creating a role, a list of tasks, a general job description that is specific to what you want that VA to do. The worst thing you can do is hire somebody and not only not have a clear understanding of what you've hired them to do, but not have the VA understand what they're there to do. And that just really is one of a very common problem I've seen with entrepreneurs that want to scale. They feel like they're ready to hire, but aren't prepared to hire yet. And you want to ensure that your VA understands that communicating early and communicating often with you, with their managers, their team leads, is paramount. The one thing you're looking for in a virtual team is to create the same type of predictability, dependability, and availability as you would in an in-office employee. So instill those same policies and requirements into your VAs and hire people that understand that effective communication is required as a part of their job. Then also you want to ensure that you have someone who not only is performing their jobs, but actively reaching out to you, asking to see how you perceive their performance to be. What feedback do you have for them? And what feedback do they have for you on their job? You want to make sure they're flexible and they're scalable. So if your business requires them to work on weekends sometimes, you want to ensure you're hiring somebody that has the ability to work an occasional Saturday or a Sunday. If you need someone to start working a later schedule than usual, for instance, I have VAs that make cold calls for lead generation. And we found the best time to cold call is between 4 and 8 p.m. So I have people that are working during those time frames. I have people that are working only between 11 and 1 p.m. because I feel like people are at lunch and they can answer their phones at a higher rate. So, and then I've also realized sometimes making phone calls on a Saturday is a bonus because we get a higher connection rate. So we have VAs on my team that I've ensured are flexible and scalable. So sometimes they take on more hours, sometimes they shrink their hours, as long as I can commit them to a 40-hour work week. So having that flexibility in a VA is one of those bonuses that you're looking for. Past experience and tenure, that's a given. If someone's worked in that same field or been with a previous employer for a long time, that's definitely a mark of a high performing VA. You don't want someone that's been bouncing around from employer to employer every few months. And lastly, you need a VA that understands their role and understands how important it is for them to continually get better at their role. So they're looking for training opportunities. They themselves are performing training on their own free time. This presentation, I'm gonna go over these 5 different areas. We're gonna go over how do you find great VAs, where to go look for VAs, how do you onboard these VAs, what should your training program look like, and why delegate and how do you delegate, and essentially at the end of the day, measuring performance and retaining these employees. The first thing as business owners, business operators, you need to do is you need to understand where your business has need. If you understand the entire business blueprint and you understand the different roles that you're performing now, and you understand which roles can you offload to a VA, having a very clear-cut job, role, responsibility description is where you should start. Also determine what type of budget do you have. Are you able to afford a full-time or a part-time VA? Do you know if you have the ability to hire from an agency that provides you pre-trained VAs, although at a higher cost? Or are you willing to sacrifice some of your own time in lieu of hiring VAs at a lower price point? And then also understand where you source your VAs is just as important as how much you're paying for the VAs, what you're having the VAs do, because sourcing a VA from direct channels like social media, job boards, requires a significant amount of investment of your own time. It requires you to screen those VAs. It requires you to screen hundreds of candidates before you narrow them down to a small subset of 3 or 4 top performers who you eventually pick that one person from. Or if you're willing to trade money for ease of hiring and saving your time, you can go to a VA agency that can help significantly in cutting that time to you getting to a VA as soon as possible. So these are some freelance platforms. If you're willing to self-source VAs, I've had success with Fiverr. I've also had success with onlinejobs.ph. And there's a new platform someone tuned me on to. It's called remoteco.com, which allows it's primarily sourcing VAs from Latin American countries. So if that's something important to you, if you're looking for bilingual VAs or VAs that share similar time zones as your business hours, then remoteco.com might be another job board you might want to look at. You can also post on Facebook, join certain groups. But if you're looking the direction of VA agencies, you could look for companies that specialize in finding VAs that come semi-trained or fully trained in your niche. So you can look for real estate VAs. There's real estate VA agencies out there, or you could come to someone like us. WeFindTalent specializes in headhunting and hiring for very specialized niche roles, and we can help locate people that have a very specific skill set. Now, fast forwarding to you having found the ideal candidate, it's super important that you get this VA onboarded correctly so they understand their role, they understand your company, your culture, and how important they are for you and you are for them. There's they say you can only make a first impression once, right? And that's true for business as well. That's true for hiring as well. When you're onboarding these VAs, you want to onboard them just like you would an in-office employee, with the same level of enthusiasm, the level of resources, time spent, because ultimately a VA is only different from an in-office or onshore employee in the regard that they're working from another country. They're still human. They still come with, a set of skills, set of feelings, set of expectations, and they will perform for you if you perform for them. Some of the key things about a great onboarding process is, at the get-go, create the right foundation for them, explain to them their role, set your expectations correctly, introduce them to your existing team if you have one. If you don't already have company policies, do create a list of company policies. They can be wide ranging, from attendance, from how they get paid, time off requests, vacations, sick time, reporting their start times and end times, how they do their timesheets, etc. And explain to them the culture you want to have for your company. And this is something I kind of want to just take a minute to talk about. If you don't have a culture in your company, create a culture in your company. Your company is, like some people say, it's your baby. Just like you nurture your baby, just like you have a vision for your baby, you want to have a vision and a culture for your company, how you want people to feel, how you want people to perceive your company and your brand. That's important. And introduce that to your VAs as well. If you expect and hope your VA to stay with you for a long time and be a high performing member of your team, you're going to have to expect to train them and onboard them so that they want to be a part of this, so they're happy at your company. They see a future with your company. And some of these basics, like establishing clear communication channels, how can they reach out to you? How can they communicate with you? Is it okay for them to text you? Is it okay for them to send you a direct message? Or do you have a hierarchy in your company? Do they need to go through a manager to have certain types of requests approved? Also, how do you communicate with them? Do you have tools like Slack, Microsoft Teams, or are you using something like OpenPhone? Are you using something like RingCentral, Skype? These are some of the different tools that we use in our business. I've seen various operators use different types of tools. In my particular business, we've narrowed it down and finally landed on Microsoft Teams as a channel, or a communication tool. It's been great. Allows you to do video calls, allows you to do phone calls. You can send voice clips. You can send each other messages. You can schedule meetings with each other, and a whole lot more. So establish clear communication channels and tools. Provide them access to all the tools that they would need to do their job really well. Give them access to resources. Give them an onboarding checklist. Make sure you have an onboarding checklist for them. You want to make sure that your VAs are uh, they have a clear understanding of what does it take to get fully trained, ready, and hit the production floor. Give them all their training tools. Give them a tour of your company. Give them a tour of all the different software applications, and give them access to all of the recurring meetings, etc. And create an onboarding checklist for them so they understand what it feels like and means to be a valued member of your company. Not going to dive too deep into this. This is just something we do. We send them an email before they start, giving them a warm welcome. I introduce them to my existing team. And I make a big deal out of it. Whenever I'm welcoming a new member, introducing them to our team members, we schedule a whole hour with them. We understand that joining a new team is exciting for anybody. Just like you had, in the past started a job and you wanted to feel like you were valued and welcomed. We do that same thing for all of our virtual assistants that join our team. We give them a virtual tour of all of our tools. What do we do? Where is stuff stored? Where are some resources? And then we give them insights about our company culture. What makes us unique? How do people communicate? How are we operating like a professional family, if you will? Next part in onboarding is you want to ensure that you have performance metrics. So when you're bringing on a VA, you can't just wing it. You want to make sure that you have tasks and roles assigned to them, but you're also able to measure how they perform in those roles. You also want to set communication expectations. For instance, my team understands it's important for them to log in at least a minute before their shift starts. No one in the company starts at the start time. It's important for them to start early. Early is on time is late, and late is unacceptable. So everyone starts a minute early and they communicate in our general chat channel. They say hello, they say good morning, they talk about their weekend, they talk about their day, and we generally get communication going. They also understand they have to provide updates throughout the day. We also have a start of day report, which is nothing but a snapshot of what's on their agenda for the day. What are some of the priority tasks? So having these communication tools not only makes them aware that someone is expecting them to communicate, but it also keeps me in the loop of where my team is, what are they working on, and keeps everybody in contact with each other. Also, make sure you set your deadlines and timelines correctly. Without targets, your tasks might as well not be assigned, and don't expect those tasks to be completed. Having clear deadlines, having clear timelines is super important. Make sure you convey your availability expectations. You make sure you have them understand that it's not okay for them to be away from their desks for extended periods of time without letting somebody know. It's important for them to submit time off requests. Pretty much emulate what you did or you do in your current or past corporate job. We want to set the same type of controls, same type of expectations. Another thing is, just because someone's working virtually, um, we can't discount their appearance, right? I expect every single VA member, whenever they're on calls with me or another team member, to be on video calls. We don't do any calls without video. Video is super important. I've gone as far as actually bought and ordered webcams for some of my VAs on company expenses, because I want to make sure I can see them. I can see their smile. I can see their attitude. I can see how well they're dressed and how well they're prepared to start and seize their day. It's it's one of those important things that matters to me personally, and I've seen it have an impact on how they perform and how long they last with you as well. And then also you want to set the right training expectations. When do you expect them to be fully trained? What training resources are available? How do you train them? How do they train themselves? Are their days going to be split between training and producing? So these basic things help create a great onboarding experience. Provide them the tools they need. Give them access to your tools with their URLs, login informations, and any how-to guides. If you don't have how-to guides, if you don't have SOPs, my advice is spend the time necessary to create SOPs on every role and every task of that role. Now, if you don't have that kind of time, go to the length of at least creating a list of roles and a list of tasks under those roles. That'll give you a great starting point. And then when you bring somebody on, as you train them, you can convert those training sessions into SOPs for those specific tasks. This will probably go a long way, much farther than you would if you were just to wing it or shoot from the hip. Um, Monitor their progress, monitor how their training's going, monitor if they're completing the tasks. Use a task delegation tool like Asana or Microsoft Teams To Do or lists, and continually monitor, are they finishing the trainings that have been assigned to them? Are they finishing the tasks that have been assigned to them? Have them prepare summaries of the trainings that have been assigned to them. Ask them questions, quiz them, test them, and provide direct, clear, and most importantly, actionable feedback. If you're not directing them carefully, if you're not making sure they know what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, and what they can do to correct that wrong, then you're necessarily not really helping them get better. And then give them a chance to improve. Not everyone is perfect. Not everyone understands their task and roles right away. You may have one expectation, they may be delivering something else. It's your job to connect the dots with your feedback and monitoring them and giving them a chance to improve and bringing that up to speed. And ask them for feedback. Ask them, how are they doing? What do they find easy? What do they find not so easy? What can they do? What can you do for them to help make their training a little bit smoother, better, faster? And then schedule regular performance reviews, especially so during their training period. So you can check up on their training, ask them for feedback, provide feedback, and ensure that the person that you've hired is in fact the person that you want to stick with long term. One of the bad things you can do, one of the I've seen people kind of stick with bad VAs for a long time just because they've invested so much in them. My advice is monitor their progress, monitor them, and let anyone that does not meet your expectations, your level of performance, let them go early. But also be reasonable in your expectations. Put measurable controls in place, put measurable objectives, and regularly measure how they're doing. If you've assigned them to watch 8 hours of video and it's just boring sales talk, or if it's just how you're going to analyze property, or if it's just learning about multifamily properties or land, and you expect someone who hasn't done that before to just simply sit there for 8 hours and watch all that, that's just unfair. You probably couldn't do that, so you shouldn't expect them to do that. So provide them with a fair opportunity to succeed. But if you feel like you've done enough and they're not doing enough and they're not measuring up, it's time to let them go. Let's talk about training. Training by far is the most critical component in you raising a successful virtual team. Does your company, do all the processes, do all of the roles that you expect to hire for, do you have training material created, or is it just tribal knowledge that you have in your head that you expect to pass down to future employees to come, right? It's super important to have clearly documented, easily to follow processes, step-by-step processes, visual processes, and videos. I'm going to go into some tools that I use to create these processes and SOPs, which have made a massive impact in my business. I have to now spend very little time because most of the tasks of most of the roles in my company are now documented with SOPs in these three formats: step-by-step written text with visual images showing where to click, and then lastly, a Loom video that walks them through the entire process. And it was not easy, but we buckled down, we created those, and now we just don't have to worry about those things anymore. And you'll find that when you're hiring, training, growing, the most painful and time-consuming aspect of this entire team building process is training. I mean, you'll find yourself frustrated. You'll want to pull your hair out. You just won't. You won't have a voice left at the end of the day. Sometimes you go through training so aggressively, so much, and then sometimes those people leave and you have to train the new person. So it's always best to have these videos and SOPs in place, training materials in place that you can simply reuse, recycle, and buy back your time. And also be mindful of, is their training schedule well balanced? You don't necessarily want to overload them with just learning. The average attention span for any person is no more than 20 minutes at a given time. Are you allowing them enough breaks? Are you allowing them enough variety in their training material? Are you balancing their time between training and performing certain simple menial tasks for you, get their mind off of learning for a little bit? So it really falls on your shoulders how well trained your employees are. And that all goes down to whether or not you have these components in place. These are some tools that we've used in the past or currently use to create some awesome training material. You don't have to use all of them. You can use one or a combination of them to create some recorded and easy to follow training material. Trainual is an excellent platform. So I got to say, none of these platforms, I mean, some of them offer free trials or free tiers. I found that none of these could do what I wanted them to do at a free tier, with maybe the exception of Trello. And even Trello's premium plans offer some functionality that I might simply just end up subscribing to. So Trainial allows you to create training manuals. They allow you to create video and text manuals for your team. Trello gives you access to a Kanban board where you can have lists and cards for various things, highly versatile and highly customizable. Loom is a video recording platform. You can record your screen, store those videos online, very cost effective. And I think we really squeeze our money's worth out of that tool. Snagit, on the other hand, is a Loom alternative. It's not a subscription service. You can pay for it one time, allows you to screen record, edit your videos, add annotations, drawings, clip art, screenshots, and thumbnails, etc. And then with the combination of this next tool called Muse.ai, which is a video hosting platform and one of the cheapest and highly feature-rich video hosting and sharing platform, the combination of Snagit and Muse AI could potentially replace Loom for you. We're using both right now. We're trying them out side by side. I have a massive library in Loom. I also use Loom to send video task assignments to my team. So if I want someone to do something and I want to quickly show them what I would like for them to do, I record myself and I send that Loom over to them. It shows them exactly, so they can't say that I didn't, or they didn't understand, or they didn't see how to, or how to, or what to do. And Snagit and Muse is just, just an alternative. It's just a cheaper alternative to Loom. Next up, guys, I briefly touched on SOPs. We could probably spend an entire hour on SOPs, which I'm not going to. I just want you to take away that SOPs are the backbone of your training endeavor. You want to make sure your SOPs are at least they contain these three components. You want to provide them with step-by-step text, actionable steps to follow. You also want to, if possible, if the task allows for screen captures, you want to be able to provide screen captures with highlights to show where to click, what to type, etc. And if possible, if it's something you can create a small Loom on, you can have a video component on there as well. Now, Josh Thomas has a entire workshop on SOPs, which I have attended. Very helpful, very valuable. But some people go overboard writing SOPs. Some people don't do enough. Just ensure that your SOP is easy to find. Your new VAs can exactly go to where the SOPs are located and find their task. And also, you want to make sure that they can easily follow that and perform the task that the guide is written for. So inspect what you expect from them. These are three tools that you can use to create some awesome SOPs. ClickUp is a tool. It says it's free. However, to access some of the more advanced features, you do have to pay a premium, but it allows you to combine quite a few different things, kind of like Asana does. You have tasks, whiteboards, dashboards, chat, goals, and docs all in one. So if you're the creative type and you want to have a combination of these included in your guides, ClickUp is great. We have Trainial. Trainial is an amazing tool, although slightly on the pricier side, in my opinion. But it's an amazing tool nonetheless to have all of your training manuals in one place. And Tango is an AI-based tool that was recently I was made aware of. This will allow you to create written SOPs with screenshots embedded and summarized with the use of AI by you simply recording yourself doing something. This has been a game changer. This has been an amazing tool. And I think they have a free version that allows you to have 10 different tangos or SOPs in there. So if you're not training for too many tasks, this might be something to consider. And their premium, please do consider their premium versions for all of these people. They've put a lot of, great tools together for you. One of the last but not, this is second to the last topic we're going to talk about is how to delegate like a pro. Me being an engineer, me being slightly obsessive compulsive about tasks being done a certain way to completion, one of the hardest thing for me was to be able to delegate my tasks. I was extremely critical in the beginning. I wanted to ensure they do those tasks exactly like I would, as good as I would, as well as I would. But ultimately, I understood the importance of creating this balance in delegation. So I just simply want to reduce my workload. I want to buy back my time. Dan Martell has written this amazing book that you might really find helpful. It's called Buy Back Your Time. It tells you how you hire for uh, calendar and not capacity, how you hire to have your time given back to you so you can have tasks off your plate onto someone else's plate and you can free up that time for yourself. Don't simply hire for capacity. Be smart about how you hire, how you delegate, and where the need for delegation is. And these are some steps for successful delegation. Identify what needs to be delegated. There may be more than one person that you can give that task to. You want to make sure you put the right driver in the right seat, right? You want to set clear expectations. There's a quote that's coming up that I highly live by: inspect what you expect. If you're not able to provide a clear picture of what the outcome should look like, how can someone provide you with that outcome? And then provide them with the right resources, give them the right tools. Don't expect them to unscrew a screw with a knife when it really requires a screwdriver, right? So give them the right resources. Just because someone is a VA working from another country, you don't want to make that task overly complicated, overly tedious. Give them the right tools, invest in the right tools, tools that you would use should you be doing that job. Give them the right resources. Monitor their progress, keep them on track, hold them accountable, provide feedback, and most importantly, provide recognition for job or tasks well done. Evaluate the results. And if you have invested this much time, money, and effort into hiring somebody and entrusting them with an important position, make sure you trust them with that task. If they do not perform to your expectations, either your expectations might be unreasonable or there might be a compromise where they can improve and you could potentially accept less than perfect results. Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about output and productivity and hitting that target. Ultimately, this has to convert into revenue, right? So it doesn't necessarily need to be pretty or perfect. It just simply needs to be done the right way, achieving the right outcome. Some of these tools you can use for project management and task delegation. We use Trello. Some people use Trello for task delegation because they actually store their task checklists in them. We personally use Trello for just SOPs, but Trello is a great and a very flexible tool, very versatile tool that you can use for task delegation as well. Asana is a great platform. I've seen people run their entire businesses using Asana. They have templates, they have lists, they have access to storing documents. They have the capacity for you to embed videos and URLs. So Asana is a great tool. Monday.com is a new tool. It's like very popular now. I personally haven't tried it. I kind of want to stick to what I know best, but Monday is an alternative you can use as well. And then for communication, with delegation and communication goes hand in hand. Slack and Microsoft Teams are the most popular platforms for people. Some people also tend to use Discord, but in my opinion, Discord just for me, it's a more nerdier tool than I'd like to use in my business. It has a lot of capacity, it has a lot of capabilities, but for me, Slack did a great job until we transitioned to Microsoft Teams, which is now doing an even better job. It's very cost effective, it's super feature rich, and allows you to do just a whole lot that you couldn't without having these tools. Now, this is the golden rule I was talking about. Inspect what you expect. And this is true for training. This is true for delegation. This is true for just measuring people's performance, right? You want to ensure you have clear expectations, you're providing clear guidelines, and you want to ensure that a task is in fact achievable. You want to ensure that you're putting the right person in charge of the task you're assigning to them. If you have someone that only answers phones and you want them to start comping properties, calculating cap rates, looking at rent rolls, probably not going to work, right? So you want to inspect what you are assigning, to whom you're assigning, and what output you expect for them to achieve. And lastly, let's talk about measuring and driving performance. Again, this is again a section we could spend an entire hour on perhaps, but having some KPIs, understanding what metrics you need to track for your business can be super important to ensuring that you have a productive team. KPIs like how many calls were made, how many offers were analyzed, how many offers were made, how many offers were accepted, how many contracts were sent, could be a great set of KPIs for someone in the prospecting and acquisition role. You can set up similar KPIs in people that are doing dispositions for you, people that are doing underwriting for you, property underwriting for you. So having a clear set of KPIs and also ensuring those KPIs get updated by your team timely every day at a regular interval is super important. There are tools, guys, you can use to build some KPI dashboards for yourself. I can't seem to remember the name of a very popular tool. It's like a couple of $100 a month, and it just builds these beautiful dashboards based on KPIs that you can feed into it from Google Sheets, from Podio, from various CRMs. And it just, I think it's called Plecto. So if you haven't looked at Plecto and you need something to display your KPIs continually for you and your team to look at, Plecto is a great tool. And then there's people that build these KPI dashboards based off of Excel spreadsheets. If you're not a pro at Excel, you can hire someone from Fiverr or Upwork, some of those sites that I showed earlier, to build these for you. And all your team would have to do is just enter their daily KPIs in the designated areas, and it builds out a visually easy to understand, visually understandable report for you so you can see how your team is performing. Perform regular evaluations of their performance, provide constructive feedback, and then recognize the high performers. Keep your team motivated. One of the things that I used to love in my old jobs in W2 was I'm a competitive person. I thrive on competition. So it was important for me to get the nod from my manager that they understood that I was doing a great job. And I've realized, getting my team some of that recognition in front of the other team members does wonders for them, does wonders for my business operation as well. Make sure you're providing opportunities for them to continually learn. If you hold trainings and webinars with them, great. If you can get them access to third-party tools and training webinars and training courses, even better. It takes that time off of your plate. Some KPI details there. And I want to say, guys, in your company, when you hit certain milestones, when somebody hits their KPIs and targets regularly, when they bag you that big contract, when they bring in that hot lead, celebrate that success. We only get so many opportunities for celebration, regardless of how big or small. People deserve praise. They thrive on praise. And the more you celebrate their success, the more they want to succeed for you. So it's important, we've seen people, business operators, real estate wholesalers have different ways of celebrating success. So some people provide bonuses, some people provide like cash bonuses versus material objects, things like electronics, things like t-shirts, things like just anything of value that would help them feel appreciated. I've actually sent over t-shirts and my company's printed mugs and pens to the Philippines where my VAs reside because they did such a wonderful job. And I cannot tell you how much they appreciated having a company badged t-shirt that they could wear to work. I also provide bonus and commission incentives when we hit certain deals, when we hit certain number of deals, a number of contracts that get signed. Keeping your team motivated, appreciated, and celebrated will ensure that you can have a team that is ready to perform for you, stay with you long term, and give you a great ROI on your investment here. Any questions?
So that was absolutely incredible. So much information, so many things to unpack. I definitely have some questions, but before I get to my questions, I want to, ask the guests that on to this evening if they want to come off of mute and ask their questions, or if they prefer not to type them in the chat. I'll read them out on their behalf. But please feel free to come off mute and ask your questions. And if we have folks that are shy, I'll go ahead and kick things off. I mean, look, I'll start off just because I haven't seen anyone come off of mute yet. You mentioned so many great things. I mean, but I can remember when I got started with my BA, that you mentioned the pain of creating the training materials and the one of the things that I call it my BA playbook. And essentially, this is like, at this point, it's like a 80-page document that I have that I was able to create. And I took it one weekend, and I was like, all right, here it goes. I'm going to put this document together. And I went through all the tasks and did many of the things that you described in terms of listing out each step, taking screenshots of what it was that I needed them to do, using Loom to record videos to help them see the actual action take place. And yes, what I thought when I was creating it was like, this is going to save me time in the end. It's painful now to go through this, but I have to show them, because I can't just assume, to your point, that they know what I'm talking about. So that was such a key point. But on the communications note, that one too was really good. I thought of everything. We from Slack and communications tools like WhatsApp. And in fact, the team that I'm working with right now, we're using Discord, but which seems to be working okay right now. But yeah,
It's a great tool.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm to your point. We're using Teams even for this meeting tonight. There are things that are available that could potentially help you scale and do a little bit more. You'll have to take advantage of some other features that are there, which I didn't even consider. I just, leveraged what they recommended. And I mean, you went on to about other thing that I'd like to throw out there, and then I want to open it up for the team is, you talked about checklist and those types of things. For me, that checklist and making sure that that folks could check in with you and make sure that they're getting their things done. What do they need to do each day to report to you, so that you can know that, okay, this investment that I'm making, I'm getting something out of it.
100%.
That's
You got to look at it. You got to look at it from an investment perspective. One of the things that we do, so Microsoft Teams has some inherent tools that we use. We use this tool. It's a reporting tool. It's called. Let me pull that up on my phone so I can get the exact name of that plugin. That plugin essentially sends you. It's called updates. It's called updates. And my team sends in a start of day update and an end of day update. It's a pre-populated form that they have questions on. Like I have questions for them at the start of their day. What are the most important tasks? What are some things that you couldn't finish from yesterday that you're going to work on today? Is there any task that you need Bhaskar's help on? Is there someone you need to involve other than yourself? So it has a very quick list of questions that help them to start thinking about their day. What are they working on today? Are there any pressing tasks? Are there any high priority tasks? Are there any contracts that were sent out that they need to follow up on? And it gives me an understanding of, okay, this person has a very detailed agenda for today. This one person does not have much on their plate today. Let me go ahead and give them some extra work. And then at the end of the day, they submit an end of day update, which has a series of questions pre-populated. How many tasks from your start of day were you able to complete today? Are there any that are going to be carried over to the next day? Was there anything challenging today? Did you learn anything new today? What name one thing or describe one new thing that you learned today? And these have kept my VAs on their toes. They start their day, they know what they're working on, and at the end of the day, they don't end their day without sending that update at the end of their shift.
Love it. I absolutely love that, and I'm so that's something I'm definitely going to adopt amongst the many other things that you talked about this evening. I did want to ask one question just about the performance metrics, and I'm reminded by some of the I think it was Drucker. I can't remember the bit from Harvard Business School that talked about what gets measured gets done. And and that to me, the fact that you have performance metrics in place to ensure that they're getting the things done that they need to do, and they're not spending their time. In addition to that accountability tool that you just talked about around the start of day and end of day report, metrics in place, which is so important. That way, they're delivering on the things that you need them to get done and not on other extracurricular tasks. Talk a little bit about the process that you go through to help formulate these metrics.
So when you populate metrics, you wanna look at what are the most important needle moving activities in your business. I mean, I can think of 1,000 things that do need to be done, but they don't actually take me to revenue, right? So for each role, I have some tasks that are directly related to lead gen or a contract or a deal being pushed on the dispo side, that has to be completed daily, that is going to be measured. So for instance, one of the group of metrics, important metrics, I used to have a marketing team and an acquisitions team. Couple of people on marketing, couple of people on acquisitions. The marketing people, their sole job was to send text messages, make phone calls. So we were tracking things like how many new text messages sent, how many new responses did you respond to. So if you sent a text, you sent 1,000 text messages, maybe 100 people responded. How many of those did you respond to today? How many were displaying positive intent? So in essence, how many were potential new leads? Um, how many new phone calls did you make? How many follow-ups did you do today? And then on the acquisition side of things, how many new properties did you evaluate today? How many new offers did you make today? How many offers were accepted? How many contracts were sent out? And how many contracts came back signed? And we update these. So then we create reports, Excel reports on day by day, uh, week by week, and then monthly and quarterly. It helps you understand, hey, how many offers are you making that are leading to one contract, right? How many phone calls had you have to make before, if you're getting 4 contracts in a month, how many phone calls did it take? So it'll just give you this valuable insight into your own business after having done it consistently for a long time, help you look for bottlenecks. It'll help you improve areas where you may be deficient. You may need, if it's taking 1,000 text messages to land one single contract, maybe you're not sending enough text messages out there. If you're only doing 1 deal a month, only doing 4 deals a month, and you hope to be at 10 deals a month, those metrics measured will tell you what needs to be finely tuned for you to get to that level.
Excellent. Well, Bhaskar, this has been absolutely incredible. We have a few questions. I want to put you on the hot seat real quick that we ask everyone that comes on to the show to this really help the guests that are here with us tonight, and for those people that'll be watching on the recording, get to know you a little bit. So, are you ready for those?
I didn't prepare for something like this, but yes, go ahead.
All right. Well, here goes. So, one of the things that I love to do, my family and I, we love to travel. I want to ask you about what is one of the best trips you've ever taken and why?
Chris, my wife and I got the opportunity to go travel to a few European countries 5 years ago, and that was a very enlightening and entertaining trip for us. We just kind of got to see a very different side of things. I was born and raised in India, but I've lived the last 20 some years here in the US. So I've seen two very starking contrasts, in terms of culture in societies and economies. But traveling through Europe was a very different experience. There were cities and countries that were just They were first world countries, manicured, pretty, lots of great food, lots of great things to see. And there were cities that were in the European Union, but not quite at that level yet. They weren't super clean. They were crime ridden. There was graffiti all over the place. You felt like you would get mugged there. So we had this very, very amazing experience about 5 years ago.
So that's incredible, and yeah, travel is one of the most powerful ways to kind of just expose yourself and grow, and I think that's such an important thing for people to do. So that's awesome. I will have to learn more about that European jaunt that you guys went on. So I know from our previous conversations that you work on many different things. As I mentioned to the group, and as you shared before, you're a real estate investor, you are a business owner, you're a former engineer, you're married, all sorts of stuff going on. What's one of the things that today that you're working on that you're really excited about?
Well, WeFindTalent is a project that I didn't expect to be in. Excuse me, I was just hiring my VAs from this company, and I ended up liking their model, their integrity, the quality of the VAs they were supplied to me so much that I ended up uh, being a part of the company. I'm a part owner. I don't entirely own WeFindTalent.net, but solely because of the positive results that I and some of my fellow investors received from this, I dove into this, and we brought on Josh Thomas, who you also know as a business coach, to help us get better in that side of the things. But I'm excited about WeFindTalent. I'm very excited to where it's heading, how it's growing, and the feedback from our clients has been very refreshing and reassuring that we're doing something right. We're giving people some great resources to help grow their businesses, help scale, and help buy their time back from them being completely entrenched in their business. And also, I'm just learning to be a better real estate operator. I'm in land. I've only done land for the last 2 years, and there's just so much to learn. I'm still discovering more ways of doing deals, creative ways of doing deals, subdividing, developing, um, just maybe partnering with builders to do a construction on a piece of land that I can source for them. So primarily those two things: we find talent and just being a better real estate operator.
Fantastic. So the name of this show is Wealth Mindset and Real Estate Investing. I can remember I went through a lot of labor and trying to figure out what am I going to call my meetup if I create a meetup. And we landed on that. And one of the key things was, that came on my journey of my personal development journey, and it's this idea of financial freedom. And I know what it means to me, but what does financial freedom mean to you?
Man, I'm a little bit of a philosopher in my nature, right? I ultimately figured out I spend a lot of money on very stupid things, menial things, just trivial things. And ultimately, as I'm growing older, I just turned 40, and I've realized the only true currency I have is my time, and I don't know how much more I have left, right? So for me, we also recently had a baby. He's 8 months. My second child is now 8 months old, and true freedom, true financial freedom is for me to have the ability to spend my only true currency as I choose to. So for me to be able to spend my time at home, time traveling, time doing things that I enjoy, and doing it with the people that I care about the most is the most important way to describe financial freedom. It's not just about money. Financial, I know it says inherently it's about money, but for me, my true currency is time, and that's what I'm looking to gain control over.
Incredible, and congratulations on the new baby. What a blessing.
Thank you.
Um, the last question that I have is about wealth mindset. When I thought about having a wealth mindset, I thought about all these different things that pop into my head, and one of the things that really that paradigm shift for folks when they come onto Meetup.com and they're searching around and they see this pop up, and I know what wealth mindset means to me, and what does that mean? What does that carry? But what does having a wealth mindset mean to you?
Man, that's a very that's difficult question. You know, I feel like having a wealth mindset is a couple of different things. A, having an abundance mindset first, right? An abundance mindset not only just in the sense of the typical sense, which is giving. Most people, when they talk about abundance mindset is give freely. They say it comes back to you. Well, a lot of people, especially if you come from a very humble beginning like I do, we have difficulty accepting abundance as well. So for me, wealth mindset is not only being able to share and help others, but also allowing others to help. I still find it difficult to receive. I was in a meeting earlier this afternoon, and I was with another wholesale operator, and he was going through the blueprint of how he's built his company, what his processes look like, what his structure looks like. And he was just pouring in. He was just like giving away the secrets that the little what I would consider my technical and my technical advantage, right? My little proprietary technical advantage. He was just giving them away. He was just sharing with me how he's doing the things that he's doing, and he's doing really well. And I was just like, man, like I just felt weird that someone was pouring into me their secrets, but they felt comfortable with me. I brought them enough value. My abundance mindset provided this equal exchange of value to happen today. And I think that is wealth mindset. Give, but also allow to receive.
So powerful, man. Absolutely incredible. Thank you for sharing that. Now, I just want to wrap up by simply having you first just saying thank you. But I know that the people online and the folks that are going to be watching this recording are going to want to get in contact with you. How can they do that?
They can, well, I use Facebook primarily for business. So you can look up Bhaskar Pandey. I'm blessed with a fairly unique name, so it shouldn't be too hard to find. But my handle is the B Pandey. You should be able to search that in Instagram, on Facebook. I'm very active on Facebook Messenger. You can also, if you're looking to hire, I would love to get your business. I would love to find you someone that is actually going to be valuable for your business. So you can certainly reach out to us at WeFindTalent.net, and the email address is admin@WeFindTalent.net. And I'm always at these meetups. I have a network quite like yours, Chris, that I find myself at real estate mixers, gatherings. So reach out to me, say hello, and I would love to be a part of your network and love to bring you onto my network.
Absolutely, and we'll get all of that information included in the show notes on the YouTube video, as well as send it out to the email distribution list of all of the members and folks that are on our newsletter as well. Bhaskar, I can't thank you enough for your time this evening. This was absolutely incredible. I want to wish you a good night, and as well as the rest of the guests. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thank you for having me, Chris. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.